chemical equivalent is equal to product of Faraday's constant into electrochemical equivalent. Means what? Electrochemical equivalent is, again we have seen, it is defined as mass liberated by passing 1 ampere current for 1 second. We can compare electrolytic conductance with the metallic conductance, that the flow of electricity in the electrolytic conductance is because of ions, but for metallic conductance you can see here because of electrons. Here you can see chemical reactions occur at the electrode, but here no chemical reactions takes place. Here matter transfer takes place in electrolytic conductance, and matter transfer do not take place in metallic conductance. Conductance is going to increase with increase in temperature. Here conductance is going to decrease with increase in temperature. We can see the factors that are affecting nature of the electrolyte. That is, you can say conductivity is very important parameter in cases of the electrolytic conduction. That is, nature of the electrolyte plays role, concentration of the solution, temperature, viscosity of the solvent, ionic attraction. Okay, if it is strong electrolyte, it means conduction is high. If it is weak electrolyte, it means conduction is less. You can see very clearly concentration of the solution. It means what? If you have a high concentration, then what happens? Conductivity will be less. If the temperature increases, then what happens? Conduction is also going to increase. If viscosity is more, then what will happen? Electrolyte conduction is basically going to decrease. If ionic attraction is more, then conductivity of electrolyte will also decrease. We have seen Ohm's law that was stating directly that strength of the current flowing through a semiconductor is directly proportional to potential difference applied across the conductor and inversely proportional to resistance of the conductor. That is I equal to E upon R. Specific conductance, we have seen conductance of 1 centimeter cube of substance or solution, unit is ohm inverse, centimeters inverse, that also we have seen. Then we have seen the product of specific conductivity into volume, okay, and volume of the solution containing 1 gram equivalent of the solute is known as your equivalent conductance. We have also seen how the graph is there, how conduction is getting affected here for the cases when we are diluting or we are increasing the concentration of the solution. So this graph that was shown earlier, you can see here the graph that was shown, that for the case here you can see here this is equivalent conductance, okay, and on the x-axis we are taking root of this concentration. Okay, now what happens for the case, suppose if I am writing here 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 like this, if I am writing here 10, 20, 30, 40. Now what happens for the case of the strong electrolyte, you can see very clearly the graph will not show that much sharp change. Okay, so there is no sharp change for strong electrolytes. But suppose if there is a weak electrolyte, then what will happen? The graph is earlier steady, then sudden rise is there. Okay, so this is the case for CH3 COH, that is weak electrolyte. Clear? So for the case of the strong electrolyte, molar conductance is not showing a very sharp change, but for case of the weak electrolyte, molar conductance is going to show a very sharp change. Let us try to see ahead. N-type semiconductors. What are these N-type semiconductors? They are basically formed by addition of pentavalent impurity of arsenic in silicon or germanium. Now look here, as arsenic is a pentavalent impurity, 5 electrons are available, okay, that is valence electrons are 5 in case of arsenic. For silicon and germanium, valence electrons are 4. So these 4 electrons are going to form a covalent bond with the 4 electrons of the arsenic, and hence what will happen? One electron will remain free in the process, and when one electron is available free in the process, so these electrons will be responsible for conduction of the electricity. Okay, so for N type of semiconductor, the conduction of the electricity is because of your negatively charged carrier, and hence it is known as N-type semiconductor, and negatively charged carriers are here electrons, that one has to remember. Okay, the next is your P-type semiconductor. Now what happens for the P-type semiconductor? We are adding trivalent impurity. For N-type we were adding pentavalent impurity, but here for the P-type semiconductor we are adding trivalent impurity of the aluminium in silicon or germanium. Here it is the conduction of the electricity is basically because of positively charged carrier, that are holes, and that is why here these semiconductors are known as P-type semiconductor. Okay, let us try to understand electro refining process. Just take a look on the diagram here. You can see the electro refining process is basically used to purify the metals. What we have taken, we are taking the, suppose we have a impure copper, okay, and we want to purify it. We'll take a impure copper block that will act as a anode. We'll take a pure copper block that is going to act as a cathode. Okay, now what happens when we are passing electric current? Then what will happen? This impure copper will get oxidized, and from this rod it will pass into solution, and from this solution it will go towards the cathode. So what happens during this electrolysis process? The block of this pure copper, okay, the weight of this block is going to increase, means weight of cathode is going to increase and weight of anode is going to decrease. So what happens? Just take a look on the steps that we have seen in the diagram. On passing current, impure copper undergoes oxidation and goes to the solution. The next step that is kept here, this equivalent amount of copper, okay, from the rod is going to pass into the solution, and that is going to move towards the cathode. So as we have discussed, look at this diagram here. The weight of this cathode rod is going to increase, and weight of this anode is going to decrease. Why it is so? Because impure copper is getting oxidized and passing into solution and going to get deposited towards cathode. Then we can see here electro refining process. Basically copper obtained by this process, electro refining process, is highly pure. So this process is very much successful because we are getting 99.9% pure copper by this. In the diagram also you have seen there is a anode mode. Now let us try to see what is this anode mode. Look here in the diagram, this is your anode mode. What happens? There are certain impurities that are getting collected near your anode, okay. These impurity, basically this impurity, there are chances that in this impurity precious metals like gold, silver may be found. So this impurity that is getting collected near the anode in the electro refining process is called anode mode. So we cannot throw this mode. We'll just try to separate this mode, process it if any precious metals are found, and then we can dispose it off. Okay, so this anode mode is also an important part of this electro refining process. We have seen. Now look here, we can derive the slogan of the pH plus POH equal to 14. We have seen here Kw value, that is ionic product of the water, that is given as 1 into 10 to the power minus 14. We have taken log on both the side. We are multiplying the term log. When we take a log, this multiplication becomes addition. So log of H3O plus log of OH minus concentrations is equal to minus 14 log 10. You know log 10 is 1, so it becomes minus 14. Now when we are multiplying all these sides by minus 1, what we will get here? Look at the case. We will get here minus log of H3O plus, okay, minus log of H3O plus minus log of OH minus, which equal to 14. We know, we will try to recollect this two information. We are ending up with one equation for this. We know pH is minus log of H3O plus and POH is minus log of OH minus. So if I use these two equations in this equation 1, I will straight away get pH plus POH equal to 14. Okay, so this one has to remember. We'll take up the ionic equilibrium constant or Kw, that is denoted as Kw for the water. You have the reaction, something shown like this. Water plus water at equilibrium is going to form H3O plus OH minus. Okay, equilibrium constant Ke is always given as concentration of the product multiplied by concentration of the reactant. Product is H3O plus and OH minus, so we have multiplied here together, divided by reactant concentration, that is water square. Okay, now this water, number of moles of water per liter is given by 1000 upon 18, that is 55.5 molar. Okay, so this one has to remember. If you proceed ahead, this will undergo cross multiplication and you will land up finally with 55.5 into K equal to H3O plus into OH minus concentration, and Kw, that is found out ionic equilibrium constant of the water, determined experimentally, is found out to be 1 into 10 to the power minus 14. You can see here the electrotyping process. Okay, what happens to the electrotyping process? Very important process used for the printing in industries, this electrotyping process. What we are taking? We are taking a block of the wax, okay, and the letters which we want to print are embossed on this block of the wax. Then what we are doing is, we are spraying graphite powder on these letters, okay, on this block. After embossing the letters, we are spraying the graphite powder. Okay, now what happens when we try to connect this anode cathode and pass electricity? Okay, when we try to pass electric current, then this copper, okay, it will pass into solution and will get deposited ultimately on this wax block. So what happens here? Our copper electrode is acting as an anode. We have a electrolyte, that is copper sulfate. We have this wax block on which the letters to be typed or printed are embossed here. Okay, so these are our typing letter, that is block wax is acting as a cathode. So now what happens in the process? Let us try to see in the steps. The first step, that is letters required to be printed are embossed in the wax block. After that, graphite powder is sprayed and made a good conductor. Okay, then this black wax block is acting as a cathode, copper block is acting as a anode. When we pass a current, letters or copper get deposited on the block of the wax, and finally we are ending up with a block that is having the letters of copper. But what happens? We have to remove graphite and wax from this particular block. That is why this block is kept on a tin sheet and heated to remove the wax and graphite, which gives a fine block of copper that is required for the printing. The principle involved here as seen is electrolysis. Let us try to see the electroplating process. That is very fundamental used in the industries and plays a very important role. Here we are plating one metal on another metal, okay, with the help of by passing basically the electricity. And Electroplating process is very important process because it is used for decoration and it is used for protection of the metals. Iron articles that are required to be coated with chromium, nickel, zinc, tin or any other metal are to be first arranged in the following arrangement. Just look here. We have two types of metal. One is base metal, another is your coating metal. Base metal is our iron spoon. If I have an iron spoon and I want to coat it with the chromium, then what will I do? I will take a chromium strip that is acting as an anode. Then I will take a electrolyte solution made up of chromium, that is Cr2O3, chromium salt, that is dissolved in H2SO4, that is acting as my electrolyte. When I pass a current, what happens? These chromium atoms will pass into solution from this anode and it will get deposited on the surface of this our iron spoon, and this is how electroplating plays a very important roles in the process. Okay, electroplating is basically used for purpose of the decoration. Okay, it is also used for the protection of the metals, and hence electroplating is widely used in the industries. Now we have seen in this session particularly whatever topics covered are all the topics that are in chapter number 2, that is ionization and electrochemistry, are fully covered as per the GTU diploma syllabus. Let us take a last look on all the topics covered. We have seen theory of the ionization and factors affecting it, Arrhenius theory of ionization, pH concept, sums related to pH, applications of the pH. We have seen buffer solution and its types, applications of the buffer solution, types of the electrolytes, metallic conductors, electrolytic conductance, Ohm's law, specific conductance, specific resistance, equivalent conductance, molar conductance, effect of dilution on electrical conductance, electroplating, electrorefining, electrotyping, p-type, n-type semiconductor in the lecture. So all these processes are very important to understand. We have also started all the basic fundamentals of the electrochemistry. We have started with that and ended with all the concepts related to that. That's all for today's session. Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much.